In this video, I'm going to show you the differences between living in San Diego and Seattle. My name is Dan Parker and I'm a real estate agent here in sunny San Diego, and I work with people moving from all over the US. And believe it or not, Seattle is the #1 place out of state people relocate from when moving to San Diego. So whether you're looking to make a move or you're just curious, this video is going to give you a good idea of what it's like living in two of America's favorite coastal cities. And stay tuned to the end of the video where I'm going to share some additional resources for you to help you if you are planning to make a move. Let's be honest, both San Diego and Seattle, great options, great places that you could live. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use specific criteria and facts to make this comparison as objective as possible, starting with the cost of living. So the cost of goods and services when you look at Seattle versus San Diego, and a great resource for this is called bestplaces.net. Well, they will compare different types of costs of good from housing to transportation to energy. They're going to compare all of those from city to city. Now, be careful because some of these things, they can be a little bit outdated, like housing, which we'll get to a little bit later. But when they're comparing both cities, as far as overall cost of living there, they have Seattle as actually being more expensive than San Diego. And some of the major factors that go into that rating are going to be utilities, which are actually significantly cheaper in Seattle, at least ranked on this bestplaces.net. But other things like transportation is more expensive in Seattle, food and groceries and health are rated just about the same between both cities. And when you're comparing housing information, I would recommend going to search sites like Zillow and Redfin. They're going to be a lot more accurate, a lot more up to date than places like bestplaces.net. And according to the Zillow Home Value Index, Seattle and San Diego are pretty much neck and neck when it comes to housing. So median home price in Seattle is $874,000 according to Zillow, and median home price in San Diego is $870,000. Now, where this gets really interesting is Seattle has gone up in the last 12 months by 11% in their median home values, where San Diego has gone up 24.6%. So Seattle was more expensive, and it's kind of slowed over the last year and a half with all the things going on up there. In San Diego, because more people are relocating there, people that can work wherever, they want to live by good weather, we're seeing the home prices shoot up faster and faster. So if you compare this to the nationwide average, the median home is actually $312,000 and has gone up around 19% over the last 12 months. So if you compare that with San Diego and Seattle, for one, you can see that Seattle's prices are not matching the national average as far as increasing in values. And number two is if you want to live somewhere cheaper than you are right now, more than likely, it's not going to be either of these places. Both San Diego and Seattle are not cheap places to own a home. So at the end of the day, both San Diego and Seattle are expensive places to live, but San Diego is going to have the slight edge on Seattle over cost of living. So next up is going to be climate and weather. This shouldn't be really much of a surprise here. Seattle is known for being rainy, cloudy, stormy. San Diego is known for being sunny and warm. In Seattle, you have 155 days on average every year of precipitation. So between rain, snow, all sorts of different things, 155 days a year. And then you have San Diego, which is closer to the equator, is known for having some of the best weather in the country. 38 on average, 38 days out of the year they will have rain, which is about a third of the national average. So unless you like it cold, wet, and rainy, San Diego is actually going to gain the edge on weather and climate. So next up is economy and jobs. And Seattle, right off the bat, if you look at unemployment rates, has a lower unemployment rate at 4.4%, where San Diego is at 5.6%. But both of these places, their job markets, especially in the technology sector, are growing at a very good rate right now. In fact, Seattle just surpassed Atlanta for the 10th largest economy in the US. And if you look at the average household income of both, Seattle's going to take a pretty major advantage here, where the average median household income is $92,000. San Diego is down at $79,000, which means the average salary is actually higher in Seattle than it is in San Diego. And when it comes to self-employment and owning your own business, California has some of the toughest regulations and the highest taxes in the entire country, which leads Seattle to edging out San Diego by a pretty significant margin on the jobs and economy section. And next up is transportation. Now, technically San Diego, or San Diegans, spend less time in a car, less time commuting at 24 minutes, for Seattle on average 27 minutes. But once you start to dig into this a little bit further, Seattle residents spend more time on public transportation, walking, and biking. Seattle has light rail, metro transit, streetcars, and even monorail to help get around. Whereas San Diego mostly just has the trolley, which is limited to 3 lines and very few locations, and then the public bus transportation system, which is it leaves a lot to be desired. San Diego is also less dense, which makes it a little bit harder to get around because things tend to be a little bit farther away. So when it comes to transportation, Seattle, you're taking the win on this one too. And next up is safety. And I'm really gonna try and tight walk here and not get too much into the politics of this, but this is a big issue, and there's a big difference in the safety in San Diego and Seattle right now. This past spring, the Seattle Police Department reported that people are waiting longer and longer to get responses from calls to 911. They weren't meeting response time targets for serious crimes, and a lot of times they just weren't even showing up for lower level complaints. As we're going into 2022, there's still calls for defunding the police in Seattle, which has led to a mass exodus from the police force. Amid all this, we've seen the budget for the Seattle police force decrease from $401 million in 2020 to $363 million in 2021, and now for this upcoming year in 2022, it's decreased again to $355 million. San Diego, on the other hand, has steadily increased their budget for their police department over the last couple of years, and we've seen them be able to hold their standards for crime and safety. Although San Diego has seen its share of regional and local issues over the last 2 years, you just haven't seen it at the rate that Seattle has. So overall, crime and safety, we're going to give a point to San Diego on this one. And if you want to see more information, detailed information, you can go to sandiego.gov or you can go to seattle.gov. That's where you can see all of the crime and safety statistics. Everything you need to know is on these websites. And next up is quality of life. Now, when you look at the median age of people in the city of San Diego versus Seattle, it is 32 years old in the city of San Diego versus 37 years old in Seattle, which is really interesting. So in general, you're gonna see younger people in San Diego than you are in Seattle. But also another part of that is if you look at San Diego County, so the city of San Diego is approximately half of the population of the county of San Diego. When you look at the county of San Diego, the median age bumps up to a little over 35 years old, which means that people a lot of times start out in the cities and then they ultimately decide to move out to the suburbs, the burbs. And next up is nightlife, entertainment, and coffee. And when you look at San Diego and Seattle, they both have very distinctively unique and amazing food cultures and entertainment. And although San Diego has great coffee spots, which are getting better and better every single year, local roasters, is kind of what Seattle is known for. Seattle has the highest per capita consumption of coffee in the entire country and is the birthplace of Starbucks, which is pretty fitting. Seattle also has a deep history of contributions to pop culture and a strong and thriving music scene. San Diego, on the other hand, is known as a sunny, fun, laid-back beach town. Health and fitness and outdoor activities are commonplace here. We also have a huge influence from Latin or Mexican culture. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and argue that San Diego has the best Mexican food in all of the US. In San Diego, when you're talking about outdoor activities, you're talking about the beach, parks, hiking trails, and a whole bunch of golf courses if you're into golf. And because this category is very subjective, it really just depends on your likes, tastes, and interests, I'm gonna give culture and quality of life a tie between San Diego and Seattle. And that leads us to the conclusion of this video, giving San Diego a whopping 3 points and Seattle just 2 points. Now, that's a pretty close score, so I'm curious, what do you think? Where would you rather live, San Diego or Seattle? And as promised, here are a couple resources for you to help you determine which place is better for you to live. You can go to bestplaces.net, like I mentioned earlier, or versus.com, which help you compare and contrast two different areas. You can go to Zillow or Redfin if you want to see home values. Greatschools.org is another fantastic website which can tell you about the schools, so it's going to dial into this very specific schools, show you the ratings on those schools. And lastly, there's neighborhoodscout.com or niche.com if you want to get really into the nitty-gritty of the different neighborhoods and what the reviews are, what people are saying about those specific communities. So if you are considering move to San Diego, check out this video where I talk about the pros and cons of living here and try and answer the question of whether or not it's worth it. Also consider hitting that like and subscribe button and reaching out to me personally if you are interested in buying a home or selling a home here in San Diego. My team and I, we would love to help you out. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you next time.